Well, hello creatives, community, and kind folks out there. Welcome to the channel RPG with DBJ. I'm glad you can join me here on this third pillar of exploration Thursday. For those who don't know, and I always introduce third pillar Thursdays this way, the third pillar of exploration for tabletop RPGs is one of my passions, is one of my favorite subjects to talk about, with combat and social interactions being the other two pillars. And usually, hey camera, what's going on? The other two pillars being the two that are often focused on in role-playing games, but as your self-appointed third pillarist of the tabletop RPG community, it is my intention, it is my goal, it is my passion to, on Thursdays, bring to you some ideas, even nebulous ones that deal with using, exploring the environment and having it not only be narratively important, but even mechanically important in the game. Basically, a tool in your tool belt as a game master or dungeon master in your games. Now, this week we've been talking about the concept of twins and twinning, and of course, we talked about all the tropes when it comes to twins. We talked about even science fiction cloning, all the way to doppelgangers, and everything in between. And even yesterday on World Building Wednesday, I think we probably gave a bunch of people a lot of mental fuel. I don't know, a city shaped like a brain that's split in the middle with, doppelgangers of people living on both sides of some elder Cthulhuoid and stuff. It's pretty silly. Dead Man, by the way, just like is listed below, this show is simulcast daily, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, my time at least. And it's just unscripted talking. We usually take a subject and we use that subject all week long, except of course for Future Fridays, which is its own thing. But at least Monday through Thursday, we talk about a particular subject, and yeah, so we deep dive into it. Dead Man talks posted here on the Discord server. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild has the Twin Mountains. So, what can we pull from when it comes to the environment in Twins? Well, Twin Mountains, we've seen Twin Peaks. There are many places that are duplicated in nature, whether there are peaks and valleys and things like that. If you are of a dirty mind, you can go that way as well with, Twin Hills or something like that, yada yada yada, right? Or or heck, in an old comedy movie, Franks and Beans. Maybe there's like two sets of beans down there caught in a zipper or whatnot. But that's just being silly. But as a landscape, maybe there's something monolithic. Maybe there is much like we talked about Twin Cities yesterday, there could be a river, and on either side of the river, there's something growing, like maybe large trees or whatnot. And so it could be something in the environment that seems to be either one structure that may look like it's two of them, or two structures built in a particular location. The image of Lord of the Rings, where they pass by those huge twin statues from a time long gone of kings and queens and stuff, and royalty is another thing. Monolithic statues or bas relief carvings in mountains or something of that nature as well. So you can name something twin whatever. That twinning could also happen from something rather cataclysmic, a mountain that was ripped asunder, a very large living tree that represented life and beauty that died and was struck by a bolt of lightning that was split in half. So you could go down those paths as well. Rickard says, they say that bad things come in threes. Maybe you have a world where natural events never come alone. Yeah, having things come in when they happen twice, you're like, you're like, uh-oh, when the third one hits. Yeah, very well, very much so. Or I think even today, a lot of times we think of like the eye of the storm. So the storm hits, and then there's like a pause in between before the tail end of the storm hits. So you could have natural events that happen, whether they're heat waves, blizzards, thunderstorms, winds, that kind of thing, that happen in twos, or at least people perceive them happening in twos. You could go more arcane or divine, where the gods are in maybe there's a pantheon of gods that are in conflict, and whenever they're in conflict, one of the deities does something that is countermanded by another deity. So, for example, the deity of love and beauty does something which everyone knows, uh-oh, the deity of ugliness and pain or whatever, or destruction or something, does an equal opposite as well. So twinning doesn't necessarily need to be identical, but it could be. Twin bolts of lightning from the sky, twin tornadoes, streaking across the landscape, um, you know, a mountain ripped asunder, and there's always, whenever there are avalanches or mudslides or rock slides on one side of the mountain, ripped asunder, there's always one equally on the other side, and that kind of thing. Rickard says, lesser heat wave hit, and everyone knows they have a set number of time before the real heat wave hits. Yeah, yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, people who live, I don't even, most of all of us live in a place where we have some kind of weather event and or natural occurrence, right? Blizzards, flooding, that kind of thing. And I know that subconsciously that when a thing happens, that the real thing hasn't happened yet, and everyone battens down the hatches ready because they know in their heart of hearts, like, yep, hasn't hit quite yet. And you guys know, putting that in your toolbox, a tension timer, a pressure valve, hell yeah. It basically a foreshadow to tell the players, heat waves coming. Here's the first one, and they go, okay, no big deal. And then the next one is like, what's there's a game called the Wastelands, and maybe it's called the Kiln, when the twin suns reach their highest peak in the sky, and it's more than just a heat wave. It's like, you literally, human beings can get baked in the sun. Maybe that might be a thing. Rickard goes on to say, the period might always be the same no matter what it is, so that everyone starts to scramble to prepare before the real event happens, especially if it's timed out. It's like 3 days hence, or everyone has exactly 1 hour to find shelter, or you're stuck. Maybe finding shelter with some adversaries or enemies might be a normalism in this world, or wherever they're located or something. Or the PCs travel, and culturally they look up in the sky, you hear one bolt of lightning, pow, pow, and it strikes somewhere in the distance, and everyone looks around like, shit, and they're like, we need to get the cover. The PCs are like, from a thunderstorm? What's the big deal? And they're like, yeah. Yeah, Tesla Ranger says twin asteroids, one tiny, one massive. Yeah, like, you don't live around here, do you? And they're like, thunderstorms? They're like, these aren't just regular thunderstorms. We've got, die roll, necrotic lightning coming down in about 37 minutes and counting. We need to get the hell out of here. Like, now. Yeah, and like Rickard says, to really give a pause between events, especially if maybe safety, you have to convince yourself of a safe haven or something. Ooh, there it is. Deadman puts in the Dueling Peaks, Twin Mountains, aka Dueling Peaks. The Dueling Peaks are a location from The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. It is located in the central part of the West MacLeod region. The Dueling Peaks Tower is found here. As the name suggests, Dueling Peaks is a pair of mountains with a narrow divide separating them. Yep, there's that classic like ripped asunder like a blade or like shattered or something. Yet the Squabble River runs through the divide, and the red Daheen Shrine can be found between the two mountains. The twin shrines, Shiva Veneer Shrine and the Naneth Shrine, can be found at the mountain tops. That's cool. I love that image too. I really love that image. It's it's like a watercolor where you can see the peaks faded in the distance and it's split asunder down the middle. And I think another aside for having a twinned location is that you could very easily you can very easily foreshadow an event that's going to happen and not do a gotcha with your players, right? You know, you guys know me. I do talk about. I see something in the boiler room Discord. Yeah, you guys know I talk a lot about foreshadowing and really staying away from traps because traps are kind of like gotchas, and usually only one side of the table really enjoys a trap. Either the PC, passive percepts their way around it, and the game master or dungeon master is pissed off, or they don't see it, someone gets caught in it, and the game master's like, "Ha!" It's like, yeah, kind of boring. But if you foreshadow a danger ahead of time, yeah, I think that's where it really shines. Rickard says, so lightning storm hits, and it's a normal storm. Once everything is back to sunny and blue skies, everyone starts to bunker down like crazy. But there's no outward indication that anything is coming. Yeah, yeah. PCs go to new region, and they're like, "Why is everyone panicked? It's a sunny sky. This is great travel time." And they're like, "Hell no, it isn't." Because the real danger is about to strike. Why not? Yeah, you're all right there, pet ogres. Like, bugger, I'm late. Tesla Ranger put in a gif or gif of a double rainbow. Yep, gotta have the double rainbows, right? And then wait a minute, does that mean there's a double set of leprechauns on the other end with the pot of gold? Whatever. Um, but another thing that might happen in a twinned environment, not only do you get to warn your players of this new thing you might be incorporating into your world, but um, but you could also grant some kind of benefit for the players so that they know how to expect the danger you're giving to them by allowing the players to explore your world in a more intense manner. For example, there's a thunderstorm. All of a sudden, the thunderstorm goes away. Clear blue skies. Everyone starts panicking. Player characters start, talking to the locals. They basically immerse themselves into your setting, into your world, and then the reward for that is to be warned about what's going to happen in the future. Maybe it's more than just taking shelter. Maybe there's yeah, yeah, twin leprechauns, of course. Um, the leprechauns themselves might literally be twins, but maybe there's some kind of benefit the player characters get from learning about these things, whether it's like, I don't know, wearing oiled cloth cloaks helps out, or finding some kind of salves or food or drink that if you consume this, it will help you when the noxious gases roll across the plains or something, or the sandstorm. When the second sandstorm hits, it is like blackened glass that will flay your flesh from your bones, unless you know, set your tents in the ground with the shells of, I don't know, lacquered turtles or something like that, right? And Rickard says, have we talked about twinned items yet? No, we haven't. Twinned items, twinned locations. Well, yesterday we talked about a twin city. Maybe the players come to a location where one they go to a dungeon where there is a twinned version of that same dungeon or city or whatever the uh, crypt or whatever located nearby, and maybe there's a cultural reason why someone passes and they literally build two dungeons that are identical to each other. Especially if, like yesterday, there's a community where people are born as twins normally, to have them pass away nearish to each other might be seen as a good omen, at least to travel on, their spirits traveling on to the divine. And so you build a twin crypt or a twin shrine or what have you, to the twins that have passed away. Or I know we're talking about the environment, but twinned creatures themselves might be a common thing. Hey, you see one manticore, there's guarantee you're going to see another one, right? Or you see one manticore, somebody, takes a couple of pot shots at it and knocks it out the sky with a couple of really accurate arrow shots, and then they see the same manticore flying around. They're like, "Did we just kill that thing?" They're like, "No, they're twins. They, twin predators hang out with each other or something." I mean, that may be a thing, and there may be evidence as to why that is. Twin peaks, twin giant eagles, or twin giant rocks that live in the upper reaches of the mountains or trees or whatever. Tesla brings up the swords in the Masters of the Universe. I have the power, the power sword. There was a 80s cartoon called Black Star where there was the power sword and the star sword or something or whatever, and the bad guy was always trying to get the two swords to come together. I know there's some YouTube clips of the twin the twin swords, despite the fact they had two different names, of Black Star, who was basically like a Thundar Conan ripoff that rode on a dragon like a wyvern like creature or something. Rickard says twinned items. Whatever happens to one of them happens to the other. So as long as you have one of them in an ice box, the one you're wearing can withstand the heat wave. I like that. I like sympathetic magic as well, because especially if the items are separated, maybe there's a an ingrained type of sympathetic communication between the two. Like you said, if one, say, medallion is kept in an ice box very far away, and you wear the other one, then your body is chilled because it is in a location of being chilled, and maybe that's the power in these items, but it's also their weakness because the items might need to be separated by many, many miles or even leagues of distances. That would be pretty interesting. Imagine a weapon that is proof against something or has a power by leaving its twinned weapon, much like the sword in the stone. Maybe that weapon must be placed in a location that sends its power to the other weapon. So an example would be, I don't know, the spear of, maybe the twin spear, one spear stuck into a world tree, so that if you have the other spear, it is proof against like plants and oozes or something, right? Or one spear is stuck into some like Arctic land or whatever, and that blade is, maybe the blade is stuck into it's stuck on in an ice flow or like an iceberg or something, but you're down in the desert, so now you have a frostbrand sword because that's where that blade is. Yeah. Yeah, fire. Ricker says firemen running into buildings with their other amulets submerged in cold water. Yeah, why not? And it would be kind of cool in a player character sense, like the fighter is like, I've got the medallion, help me out here, wizard. And the wizard's like, cool. It does like a chill touch isn't exactly chilled, but you get what I'm saying. Like they use some kind of frost power on their item to grant the same resistance to the other individual on the other end, right? Which would be kind of cool, though. Maybe healing magic works that way through these items. The paladin lays on hands by grabbing the medallion, and then, unseen somewhere, their ally wearing that medallion, or that medallion's placed onto the captured princess or something, so she is healed from her wounds given to her by her captors or whatnot, even though the person laying on hands is very far away. And that might be the norm with a lot of items as well. You could even go so far as to having obstacles and hazards and things in the world that just happen to be in sets of twos for some strange, odd reason, like two sets of rope bridges, two sets of chasms to cross over. There's always two sets of landslides that happen. There's always floodwaters that happen twice in a row, or whatnot, or any number of things. Let me go back into the chat. Dead Man says Shiva Near and Shrine and Veneth Shrine, also called the Twin Memory Shrines, which is two shrines or dungeons where you have to set 4 orbs to match the orbs in the other shrine. What a cool but strange way to have a dungeon where you have to unlock one dungeon, you have to unlock both of them, which you might not want to split. That might be asking to split the party, but it may also give the clue to how to navigate one dungeon. So now you have to go back and navigate the other dungeon because you have the clues from the first dungeon, which would be kind of weird, but also kind of cool, especially if you've designed your favorite dungeon or you've got like miniatures and landscapes. This might be a good excuse for your world to like, listen, I'm not making a brand new landscape every time we play. Let's just assume that this dungeon was duplicated, right? Rickard says you can imagine a hero decked out in 3 to 4 of those amulets with a whole crew that keeps moving their amulets around to charge their properties as the hero moves around the world. Yeah. They're about to go to lava blades. Put the element amulet into the icebox, right? 2 days later, they're about to hit the Arctic tundra. Throw the element amulet into the fires. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. You never know. You might have to be followed by an entourage of elemental amulet placer inner inner ers. I don't know what you call them. But yeah, a lot of items might be that way. As a matter of fact, maybe even you could go so far as to have like a cloak, some kind of cloak of camouflage. But the only reason the cloak of camouflage works is because there's an equal and opposite cloak hung in the dark wilderness or something like that. And you could have clothing that's duplicated, or hell, you could even make a pact with a local who, as long as the local individual is skilled in remaining camouflage in the wild, you are too. That could be a kind of a boon to give to someone, like the paladin in the silvered armor that's real loud and clunky. Maybe they bond some kind of way with someone in the community, and that becomes like a twinning effect for them to bypass a lot of hazards and things. Rick is like, nah, you have a divination mage back in HQ scrying you at all times. Yeah, of course, your enemies might be doing the same things, right? Yeah, you never know. Which, in a world of twinned obstacles and hazards, maybe going after the entourage is just as effective as going after the individuals themselves, especially if you have, say, a let's say you have a fort or some kind of castle or something that could be assaulted. Maybe someone figures out a way that if you assault, someone could assault an empty castle that is built exactly the same way as the populated castle to send images or messages or information about the empty castle to allow the people trying to siege the populated castle as to the weaknesses in the siege, right? Yeah. Tesla's like prefab castles, yep, on the back of a extra wide body tractor trailers going down the highway. Yeah. Oh man. We build them in our factories, spinning them on like those big giant spits so they can put the like plumbing and electrical systems in the ceiling because it's now turned to the rooftop. Cameron says we already have twin ice caps. There could be a set of twin swords a meant to be dual wielded that are held in those dungeons or in each ice cap. I'm I'm gonna take that and explode that out a little bit there, Cameron. Like, I could see twinned weapons being pretty important, right? Like separately they don't work, but when you use them in tandem with each other, they you know the gladiators trident and net always work together. The twin daggers always work together. Like the one dagger always distracts the person to let the other dagger sneak around and stab someone from in their kidneys or something, right? Or up under the rib cage. Like might be powerful, but I could see a rogue acquiring twin daggers that allow them to sneak attack their enemy by using the one dagger, which allows the other dagger to do the sneak attack. A swordsman wielding two long swords, or two rapiers, or two katanas, or something like that, and they only work in tandem with each other, even if their capabilities might be a little bit different. Cold sword, hot sword, necrotic sword, radiant sword, maybe something like that as well. Rick, yeah, yep. Yeah, Rickard says, "Oh, the enemies will try to go for the HQ to mess up all the twinned items for sure." Yeah, I'm liking that. Yeah. Rickard says, do you want the standard cast or you want the deluxe dungeon package?" Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Every time one weapon hits one foe, the other weapon becomes more powerful against the same foe. Yeah, twinned items, and those twinned items might be everyone knows when they see twinned items to watch out for them, is what I'm trying to say. Culturally, it might be a thing. Or twin individuals using twinned items works better. So it's not just one person dual wielding, but it's like two spearmen, or two trident wielders, two long swordsmen, two dagger wielders, two maul or pikemen, or two hammer wielders, two battle axe wielders, right? Maybe it's like, hey, if one person strikes, the other one's weapon is equally and more beneficially able to strike the same target or whatnot. Or maybe it's only against two. If you dual wield it against two twinned foes, it works better. Like, hey, if I strike the one giant with my battle axe, then it means that you can strike the other giant with the other battle axe or something like that. Twin weapons only work if used by different people. Yep, and which would be kind of weird if a hero has one weapon and the BBEG has the other weapon. If the big bad evil guy is like, I've got the power sword, and the hero's like, but I've got it's twin the other power sword. Come at me, bro. It's like, and they the weapons clash, and they each want to join the weapons together or something. Thank you, Kitty. Thank you very much. Or it may be possible that, okay, follow me on this because it is Third Pillar Thursday. When one person with one item is in a particular environment, the other person with the other item is granted either some kind of symmetry with the person who's more capable, allowing the less capable person to do the thing in that environment. So the ranger in the woods with the medallion, let's say, it doesn't have to be a weapon, but whatever, the medallion, the tiara, the ring, or whatever is in the woods. Now that ranger is able to grant their skill to the very loud, shiny, armored paladin, because they are now twinned with their capabilities. While at the same time, oh, wow, you can even go further. The paladin can borrow the ranger's, tracking ability, while the ranger can borrow the paladin's smite ability or something. You could do that. That could be a possibility as well. It could be region specific, woodland, Arctic, desert, coastal, aquatic, that kind of thing, where the the twinned locations are in synergy with where they're located, not necessarily about their particular capabilities, right? Um, Cameron goes on to say, yeah, twin weapons made to be held by twins, yeah, or twin sentient weapons destined to fight each other for eternity. Yeah, maybe that goes back to the divinity portion where there are twin gods of some sort, or like they could be twin gods of fire, twin gods of destruction, twin gods of industry or love or something, or they could be equal opposites. The necrotic radiant gods, gods of life and god of death, god of war, god of peace, god of beauty, god of ugliness, and whenever one is in power, the other one is in equal and opposite um, conflict in the world. So whenever you see like a very beautiful woman, you know that they are always followed by a terrible beast. Or whenever you confront a a celestial being, you know that there's going to be a fiendish being somewhere around the corner or something like that. Like there could be equal opposites. Every time there's a bright sunny day, there's a terrible one right behind it. It's like, wow, this is a peaceful lake. The sun is shining. There's plenty of fish. You can hear the breeze and the sounds of insects, and everyone was like, oh, holy shit, we better get out of here. Like, why? Because tomorrow is going to be terrible, absolutely terrible. Also, in a strange kind of way, it might be beneficial for player characters to head towards the danger than heading away from it, because now that they know how to handle it the first time, they might get a benefit on handling it the second time, right? Like, um, a blizzard hits and the PCs are like hunkered down and they're like, damn, they're worried about frostbite and they hunker down. And of course, one of the PCs pulls out a little Liam's tiny hut, and Liam's tiny hut is covered in thick layers of snow, and they get out of it and stuff. And they're like, okay, we can go to the south and we can go to warmer regions, but we're going to probably confront something twice. We've already been through one blizzard. Why not just keep on going? Because we already know how to survive against the second blizzard. And that's a pretty cool way to put the danger. I love putting things into the player's hands, giving them the option, then the dungeon master forcing an option or railroading them, and just tell them, hey, listen, you've already been through one. That means you only have to go through this one more time, right? We already went through one thunderstorm. The second one's going to be even worse, but you've already been through it once. If you go to the east, that's where the tornado alley is, and that's where twin tornadoes touch down. Might not survive that one. Um, Cameron says, yeah, bright sunny day followed by terrible ones. You must have visited Washington State before. Now I'm Midwestern. I'm in Ohio, and we get tail end tornado alley crap. We get northern Canadian nor'easters, and then southern rain and winds and confluence. But yeah, I hear you. Yeah, Washington State. Yeah, listen. A lot of us live in places where we don't even think about it anymore. You go, yeah, you know what? If you don't like the weather, just wait a bit. It'll change, guaranteed, right? But let's get into more. Let's get into more constructed locations that are twin, because we talked a little bit about the environment. Twin, maybe it's more beneficial for twin ships to sail on seas, or for armies to split into two. Again, we can go back to the castles by having two castles, and again, kind of a weird thing to do, but it might benefit the players to siege one castle, knowing that in their back pocket they know how to siege yet the second castle that may or may not be very close, or they could be on opposite sides of a of twin rivers, right? There's a twin river system for some reason, and for some strange odd reason in this part of the world, there's usually more than one, and when you only see one singular one, it's like either something's wrong or we just haven't confronted the second one. Deadman says Colorado has gone from 80 degrees Fahrenheit to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit in the same day. Yeah, equal and opposite, right? Frigid cold to what blazing heat to frigid cold, or vice versa, in the same day. That's a great chaos storm like thing, which is during our open world building that I want to introduce to and get everyone involved in. Maybe this is a side effect of like chaos storms. So these chaos storms rage over the mainland, but everyone has humanity has left the mainland and they've gone out to these archipelago, these vast numbers of islands and places like that, and looking out across the peaks and across the great waterways, you can see these weird chaos storms that reach across the great inner ocean or whatever. And maybe these are things that happen when it's frigid cold. It turns hot. When you see when there's when there's radiance and healing and light and peace, it's always followed by pure darkness and death and rot or something like that. Equal and opposite. Rickard says, back to environments. Each storm has one material and one ethereal portion. Normal people might only see the material tornado, but those with the third eye sees the horrifying ethereal tornado following behind its material twin. Ooh. Like, wouldn't it be weird if the people who see the ethereal, because its perception makes reality, the ones who see it are the ones affected by it? So the ethereal tornado might be made up of like broken souls or the tortured dead or something. Like, it's not just a wind tornado that you get snatched up into the air, but literally you could get snatched up into the air and attacked by banshees, right? Like, and because you see it, it affects you, whereas maybe normal humanity who is unattuned to those arcane elements are the ones who don't see it. And these weird, strange storms, like of chaos or something, at once the players are like, it's like the X-Men. At once they are blessed with abilities, but they're also cursed with those same abilities. Yeah, we see the tendrils of chaos, but you also are punished by those same things. And maybe there are even beasts or monsters out there. They attack in twos. Get attacked by one owlbear, you're probably going to get attacked by two at the same time, because that's what they do. Yeah, Cameron says screw that. No wonder y'all got weed legalized before we did. Y'all need it for all the stress. Hells yeah. Glaucoma. Sorry. That came out a little bit too naturally. Wow. Cameron says, goes on to say, twin phylacteries. Shit. Twin liches in the world. Twin liches that were twins in life, and now they're twins in death. And they're hiding it because the PCs are like, we killed the lich. No, you didn't. But we destroyed the phylactery. No, you didn't. But it's destroyed right in front of us. Yeah, no. We're attacking the lich. We finally got to the point where we can attack the lich. Other lich comes around the corner going, nah-uh-uh. Nah-uh-uh. Two of them? What the twin dragons, twin. Jesus, like this is actually kind of a great way to foreshadow basically doubling the danger against your player characters by foreshadowing the world around them. By the time you get to, by the time the player characters open up a chest and see twin phylacteries inside of it, and they look at each other like, "Damn!" Like, our asses are going to get kicked. They should know what the hell might be happening to them before then, right? With all the twin storms and twin castles and twin owl bears and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Cameron's like, I'll raise you twin Draco liches. Yeah. Maybe there's certain rituals that have to be twinned as well. Um, you want to summon a fiend from the pits of hell, you got to do it twice. Yeah, twice is nice. Rickard says you can have it affect everyone, making it so that people don't understand why some people die after a storm without anything having happened to them, but in reality, their souls got hit by the ethereal storm. Um, I could see that. I could see where, yeah, I was just throwing that out there as an option where like only the people that could see it are affected by it. But yeah, it might be these twin storms happen. The mundane and the ethereal ones. The well, mundane isn't necessarily mundane if you're caught in a tornado or a hurricane or major thunderstorm or earthquake or something. But again, right, the twin volcanoes erupting, or I have no idea what a twin tsunami would look like, but what the hell, right? I mean, who's to say that the the normal mundane one hits first, knowing that it's followed by one on the waves of very powerful arcane magics and things, pretty nasty. That would be pretty nasty. Rickard says each of the liches has their twins phylactery, so you might have taken out the phylactery of the twin, but the one lich you took out is now back alive and with their twin, already plotting their revenge. Oh, if that's not a big FU that you didn't already foreshadow ahead of time, God, the PCs beat down the lich, find the phylactery, take the phylactery, destroy it. They're doing a jig, they're having a party, they're like, yeah. The lich they take out just boom, comes back, and they're like, no, you didn't. And the PC's like, yes, I did. And they're like, no, you didn't. That's not my phylactery. That's my twin's phylactery. Oh, God. Oh, if that's not a big old FU. I love it. I love it. Heck, you can make a t-shirt about that. Yeah, not my phylactery, but my twins. Cameron says, I could see the twin world having a lot of OCD in it. Gotta do it twice. It always comes in twos. Gotta do it twice. Locking doors twice. Checking for secret doors twice. Could you bless this house twice? Twice, I mean? Yeah, I'm Tommy 2 times. I'm gonna go get the papers. Yeah, I mean, that would be that. It could be a very good omen to have. Yeah, I was gonna say, the Corsican brothers. Yeah, it could be a very, it is an omen, a good one, to always have twins with your party. Maybe the adventuring party comes to town, and they're like, we need a guide. And the 2 halflings step forward, and they're like, we'll help you out. And the other halfling's like, yeah, we'll help you out. They're like, we only need one of you guys. We only have cash for one. And the population's like, ooh, you didn't just say that, did you? They're like, nah, you need both of us. And guess what? If my sister's in trouble, you need to save her because you need both of us as guides. Or heck, twin mounts are better than one. Twin spellcasting works better than one. You could go. There's a lot of little things you can pull off of this. Now, mind you, how do you mechanically do these things? Do you punish the person doing something singular? Do you just add a benefit for the person doing the thing twice, or having it duplicated by the other individual. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's possible. Yeah, yeah. Culturally, you haven't done something until you've done it twice. Now you didn't. Now it's really going to kill you twice. Yeah. Or even like an omen, the owl bear drops your character to zero, taking your character out, and the omen is that it's a guarantee that you'll probably be taken back down by the same thing twice. Like some people are like, "Oh, I stubbed my toe. I'm going to stub my toe later on today again, aren't I?" Everyone's like, "Yeah, you probably will." Um, or it is a good omen to drink two drinks and eat two meals. Like, I'll take seconds. And the PCs are like, why does everyone eat seconds? Or yeah, hey bartender, hit me up for a second drink. Or there's always two toasts given. You give a toast, you always give a second toast. Or two coins are always thrown into the pot or something. Yeah. Or yeah, you just order one drink but get two. I like all these little asides. And yeah, maybe just maybe this is here another thing. We are talking about the environment or something. Um, one one person, something happens to them out in the wild. The other person with them is is expected that the same thing will happen to the other person traveling with them, but now they know what's going to happen because of the first one. So a landslide happens, maybe the ally they're with gets their ankle twisted or broken or something, and they know, you know what, pretty soon there's going to be another landslide. So let's make sure we look for some shelter first. Or when we hear that rumbling, we're going to go for shelter. Great. Okay. So now they have a warning for the second one about to happen, And maybe bandits out on the road use that to their advantage. There's one landslide that blocks the PCs from behind. The second landslide blocks them from ahead, trapping them in between while the bandits, rob them of their ill-gotten, um, take their ill-gotten gains from the PCs, right? Fanti and Mingo from Serenity. From Serenity? Fanti's prettier. I don't remember that. Hmm. Yeah, like the twins from Final Fantasy IV in Japan, Final Fantasy II in the US had the twins Palin and Param. Param was a white mage, and Palin was a black mage. Yeah, there might be some kind of equal and opposite synergy in the world. Like it's twins, but they're equal and opposites. And in order for the society to operate, at least how they see it, there must be like the Black Castle, White Castle. There's the Ice Castle, Fire Keep, or something like that. There are, whenever you're traveling the roads, there's always, twin guardian riders that travel uh, ahead of any type of trade route or something. And if something happens to one of them, and the other is still around, still alive, and unable to get to their twin traveler, maybe bad things happen to them. And it might not be a mechanical thing, it just might be a very strange cultural background element to a thing. You know, like someone drops an egg on the floor by accident, someone else grabs a random egg and drops it, so there are two eggs drop on the floor because it's supposed to be a good omen to do a thing like that. Mingo's the twin brother was a twin brother of Fantastic Rample, better known as Fanti. They were seen as fences for goods acquired by the Malcolm Reynolds and the crew. That's right. I forgot about that. It's been a while since I've seen Firefly. Also, I like the idea of like criminal twins. What was there was a movie Legend with Hardy, the actor Tom Hardy. Must be hard to make decisions with Twin Kings ruling. Yeah, yeah, because there's always equal and opposite things. Yeah, I'm gonna do this thing. Well, I don't feel like doing the thing, but yeah, twin noble houses, twin factions, twin merchant homes are might be a possibility. Um, for example, maybe there are always twin bridges that are to be crossed. Um, I mean, there's a hell of a lot of stuff that can happen in these worlds, especially if they're equal and opposite. Yeah, Rick says better with triplets. That way you have someone who can cast a deciding vote. Yeah, odd numbers are always better than even numbers when it comes to making decision making in governments and stuff, right? You never want 50%. You always want 51-49, right? Um, yeah. Uh, Cameron says a bonus is always better. Players hate minuses like like they kick their dog. Um, that refers to how do you mechanically describe the act of either punishing or benefiting your player characters, and I absolutely agree, which is why Fifth Edition doesn't have negative statistical modifiers in character creation. It's far better for, say, two spellcasters spellcasting in tandem to get a benefit rather than punishing or giving disadvantage to say one singular spellcaster doing it on their own. So I definitely agree with you on that, Cameron. People feel better with bonuses than they do with negatives. Now, mind you, if your group loves playing in a like more of a gritty survivalist kind of thing, then it comes with the territory. But in general, people tend to devolve into getting a benefit. It's much like buying something on sale. Oh, I'm getting the benefit of getting it cheaper rather than selling it at the cheaper price and increasing the price temporarily because it's out of season. You feel like you've been gypped. You're like, wait a minute, I went to buy the polo shirt for $10 and it's 20 now. Screw you. As opposed to it always being 20 and getting it on sale for 10, right? Um, Tesla Ranger says Screwface in Marked for Death. Yep, the Steven Seagal movie. Him have his Screwface had two head and four eyes, and that's the secret to his magic. Yep. Um, he has a secret twin, so he can be in two places at the same time. I love that idea of having your lieutenants or your big bads being twinned. And again, you could foreshadow this, right? Before you get to the twin Draco Liches, um, before you get to the twin Pit Fiends or the twin Black Dragons or something, maybe they're twinned Manticores, twin Harpies, twin Naga, twin Rakshasa, who both have shape changing twin doppelgangers or something, whatever. Twin Trolls. Once you've put that into play, you've already foreshadowed the oncoming onslaught, which also I could imagine some environmental hazards, man-made ones. Instead of being locked in a cage, maybe PCs are locked in a cage inside of a cage. Um, PCs fall into a pit, and instead of falling into one pit, there's a pit at the bottom of the other pit. If you're not careful, um, the the you go into the dungeon and there's twin statues on one side, and if you go too close to one statue, it breathes out fire, and if you go to the other statue, it breathes out frigid cold or something. Star Wars, the Rickard says Star Wars: The Old Republic made a reference to that one, but ramped it up to quintuplets instead of twins. Yeah, and mind you, we're talking twinning, but it doesn't. You don't have to limit yourself to groups of two. Triplet, triplicates, quads, quints. You can really ramp it up by having duplicates of many things, especially if on the norm humanity, monsters, creatures, plants, even constructed locations are done in multiples, allowing you as a game master to basically put in front of the player characters like, hey, listen, here's the thing, this is what's going to be here. I'm letting you know up front that the first time you encounter this thing, there's a good chance you're probably going to encounter it again. No big deal. And this means that you have, as a game master, maybe you have less work to do. Instead of page flipping through more NPCs, you've already got you already established one NPC. Why not make that NPC a twin? So your funny voice, your great mannerisms with that really cool NPC, you get to twice as nice, right? A question for tomorrow: does multiple proxy bodies count as twins? I wonder, does that count? If you Does it count as a twin if they aren't physically there? I could see that happening. Um, a Imagine in some kind of strange way, shape, or form that like clerics or wizards in this world have a twin, like a spiritual twin of themselves that travels around with them, or they contact, or they merge with, or they are in synergy with. I think I brought that up before, where a a cleric might have a oh okay, strange enough to say, but two twins gain their power from their other twin. Like, could you imagine warlock twins? They're the warlock of each other, and that's where their power comes from. Like, my sister, the brother sister twins. My sister is my patron that grants me my powers because I call from her, and she does the same for me. Like when I'm resting, I'm basically granting her my power, and when I'm active, I'm she's granting me her power when she's in a rested state or something. That'd be kind of cool. One mind controlling like 30 bodies at the same time. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Why not? Those elementals or constructs or something out in your fantasy world, especially sci-fi, and the same thing. Looking at you, surrogates or teleoperated machines or something like that. Yeah, why the hell not? Um, yep, like in surrogates, where you have one human body, but they are out in the world using their robot surrogate. Yeah, why not? And listen, tool. Here's another tool in your tool chest. If you want your big bad to have a social interaction with your player characters, knowing your player characters are going to want to go all ham, hard as a mofo on your big bad. If they are telepresencing themselves through controlling like mind controlled bodies, duplicates of themselves, simulacrum, clones, um, constructs in this world, then it's an easy way for both your big bad to taunt the player characters while still letting the player characters open up a can of whoop ass on them over and over again, right? I like that effect quite a bit, especially if a very narcissistic uh, being, like let's go with the twin. Let's go back to the twin liches, right? Maybe they are so narcissistic that their religious followers, their cult around them, is body shaped into looking exactly like the people they worship. I mean, today, I guarantee you there are people who, if given the time, energy, and resources, would have plastic surgery to look like their um, favorite, musician, their favorite reality star, their favorite politician, even. And imagine taking that and turning the volume up to 11. I could see a whole cult looking exactly like their patrons in one way, shape, or form. Hell, there are human beings today that want to become elves. Why wouldn't someone want to physically become another racial type, if not an exact duplicate of the person that they are intricately involved with, including living in a location that looks like them, like MTV Cribs, being surrounded by an entourage that is exactly like their their chosen fanatical obsession or something like that. Uh, Raker says, final words by the bad guy. Such a waste of a perfectly good body. Barbarians, said with scum. um, and not in last words, sort of anyway. Fucking posers. Yeah, yeah, that's a realism. Listen, even today we have that. So if you had magic or technology that could get you to look like, or act like, or sound like the person, I mean, how many times have we seen people go to concerts and they dress up and act like and put on makeup that looks exactly like the person they're addicted to? Hell, in this world, a bard would be like king. A bard of an evil bard, even an evil bardic lich would be a type of a type of confrontational being that would dominate in this world when the PCs keep coming across these fanatical groups that come across as this big bad or something. Yeah. Hope people got the poser reference. Yeah, I hope they did too. There's cyberpunk posers. They're cyberpunk gangs that are like that. Cameron says twin warlocks would be really fun to play, but it would be terrifying entering an anti magic field. My powers won't work. Where's Sarah? Is my sister dead? Yeah, yeah. Hey, if you walk into the anti magic field, it ain't just you, it's everybody else. Oh no, dead man, seriously? The Kiss Army, faces of fandom. Yeah, hey, listen, not just Kiss. What is it? Jackalos are another thing. Is it Jackalos? Come on, guys, tell me what it is. But yeah, the Kiss Army. That's all perfectly Juggalos. Thank you very much, Juggalos. That is a perfectly good example of exactly what I'm talking about, right? And why not? Why not play on that fact, right? Even if you start using, again, shorthand toolkit, right? You start reaching out for stat blocks for some of these people that have been transformed into this thing through potions, rituals, dedication, divine personages, right? A divine hand has reached down to on. Okay, here we go. On the day of darkness and light, the hands of the gods will reach down, or for those who are dedicated to both sides of the light and dark, each will be enchanted with the power of our blessing, both the both one foot in the depths of death and darkness and destruction, and their eyes and their souls brought to the power of light and love, or whatever the case might be. And then, of course, you take some stat block, maybe you these ritualists or something have the power of both light and darkness. You pick a stat block like a shadow, but maybe you say like during a specific period of the day, or maybe on the day of light and shadow, one twin has the power of the stat block of a monster shadow, but the other stat block is one of a shadow, but is reskinned as being radiance and light or something like that. Like you could go, you could start pulling things out of your ass and like really having some fun with it and stuff. We have hit our mark, and I am feeling it just a little bit. I have taken my medications, by the way, and just to let you guys know out there, a little personal thing here. I am on mandatory quarantine from work, so just because I do have symptoms related to the coronavirus, and later on today I'm going for my coronavirus testing, and I'll get my results in like 48 hours, they say. So we'll find that. So guys, thank you very much. I will be in the Discord in the boiler room if you want to join in there for a short amount of time, talking about things and just upcoming episodes and shows and random BS and stuff like that. So thank you very much for patronizing me. And by the way, if you want to support long form content, just like, share, subscribe, follow on Twitch, all that kind of good stuff. Just spread the word, and I would really love it. Anyway, guys, have a great one. I will see thee tomorrow for Future Friday. Thank you for watching.